Okay, then welcome back to our latest forecast. Now, we've got a lot of things to get to today, such as severe weather and snowstorms, but we're going to get to the temperatures, which right now is looking quite mild. Places like Texas looking anywhere from about 70 to 50 degrees, and a lot of milder temperatures out there as well. As we go into later this afternoon and evening, we do get more warmer. For places like Texas, we could even see 100 degrees in more southern areas, and then as we go up into places like the northeast, still going to be remaining quite warm. Also, the west is going to be looking quite warm as well. If we move this through into a little bit later, once again we could see maybe 100 degrees in South Texas, and then as we go into a little bit later on to very early on Wednesday, you are going to see some colder temperatures, maybe even freezing, below freezing, sorry. But as we go into later on, these temperatures do get a lot warmer, where once again we could have the risk for seeing 100 degrees in the Texas border. Places like the west is going to be above average temperatures and remaining all over the east as well. If I move this through a little bit later, this is now going into Thursday. Once again, we're going to see a lot of heat, maybe seeing 100 degrees once again in the border, and this heat's going to be very intense. We're going to see a mini heat wave for the west here. This goes all the way past up into like Kansas, where we're going to be seeing 70 degrees, and then the northeast does kind of cool off as we go into about Thursday and Friday. Friday once again is going to be a warmer day. Maybe Florida could reach 90 degrees, and as well once again as the border once again could reach 100 degrees. And finally, as we move through into Saturday, Saturday is going to be looking warm. We could even reach 102 degrees, maybe even 103 degrees. And as we go into Sunday, we're once again going to be seeing very warm temperatures. And now then, let's get to the severe weather threat. Now we're going to be looking at the risks, and today we have a slight risk of severe weather going from like northeast Texas into southwest or southeast Oklahoma. Today's risk is going to be mainly a bit of a wind risk, where we have got a 15% risk. Also, I forgot to mention, but we do have a marginal risk in the northeast, which is quite rare for May. If we're looking at tornado risk, we do have a 5% Sig 2 risk, where this could get upgraded to a 10% just if all of that morning convection can move away. And of course, in the northeast, we have a 2% tornado risk. This is quite rare for May. If we're looking at the wind risk, like I just mentioned, 15% risk, once again a 5% risk in the northeast. And if we're looking at hail's going to be one of the main risks, where we do have a Sig 1 risk in these shaded areas, and we still have a 5% risk for the northeast. If we look at the day 2 outlooks, which is going to be for May 6th, we do have that large slight risk, and we do have a large 5%, relatively small, but I wouldn't kind of go. I think there could be a 10% risk in there if trends can kind of go up a little bit. The wind risk is going to be once again a 15% risk, and as we go into the hail risk, this is going to be a Sig 1 risk, so one of the main risks is going to be the hail tomorrow. If we're looking at the day 3 risk, which is going to be May 7th, we do have a small little marginal risk, not looking that interesting on May 7th for any kind of big severe storms. And now we're going to talk a little bit further about the timing of severe weather. We're going to start with the marginal risk in the northeast. So this is right now, we've not really got any thunderstorms, maybe some up in Canada. But as we go over the next couple hours, we are going to see these storms developing. So in the next sort of 2 hours, we are going to start to see some storms bubbling up. As we go into a little bit later, these could become a little bit more severe with damaging hail or damaging wind, large hail, and maybe an isolated tornado. And then as we go later on into the afternoon and evening, we've got a cluster or widespread thunderstorms. Once again, all these could become severe. As we go later on into the evening, we do have once again more cells that are going to be training through, with once again large hail damage and wind gusts all being possible. And then as we go into the kind of like the night time, this threat we might still have some thunderstorms out there, but any significant severe storms or even severe storms won't be likely. Okay, then we're going to go into the slight risk of severe weather, that kind of area. As we're into the next couple hours, once that kind of morning convection goes away, we will have the potential for some storms in northern Arkansas, and these could be rotating. Now, this is where I think if there was going to be a 10% tornado risk, it would be up here. We do have a larger risk of tornadoes, and then as we go a little bit later on, we're going to see multiple storms rotating, and also these ones back near Dallas once the cap that's in place breaks and where storms are going to start to fire up. As you go a little bit later on, we are going to see a lot more storms starting to fire. Once again, near Dallas, once this cap breaks, we might start to see more rotating storms. And then as we go into the southeast of Oklahoma and back into Arkansas, with once again maybe a rotating storm. As we go later on into the evening and into the overnight hours, we are still going to see rotating storms in Arkansas and a couple little cells down near the DFW area and just southwest. These aren't looking that severe, but maybe some hail out of them. And then this threat does continue to go eastward in Arkansas, with once again some rotating thunderstorms as the storm mode goes into more of a linear threat. And then the damaging wind risk will be the main priority, but we may even start to see some cells that fire up behind this, once again for places like Arkansas, and one of the two of these could be rotating and produce large hail. And as I said at the start, we are going to have a pretty legitimate chance of a snowstorm as we go later on this afternoon and evening, and this will begin to develop for the four corner regions where light to moderate, so potentially even heavy snow, will start to form. This isn't looking like a really impactful kind of system. It could drop an inch or two, but not looking that significant. And we're just going to end today's forecast with looking at the warnings that are out there at the moment. We've got those heavy spray warnings in the light blues, and in the pinks there we do have a winter storm warning, like I just mentioned, with those this kind of weak snowstorm. And I will have to end today's forecast by saying thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more forecasts like this one.